It is far too easy to vote in America, and we're going to take a look again at a little bit of blowback. Stay tuned, everybody. Folks, for the very best meat you have ever eaten, check out samsbutchershop.com. Go there, shop around. When you go to checkout, enter the coupon code Triple T for a 10% discount. Check it out. Oh, there I am. Hello, everybody. I am trailertrashtim. How's your mama and them? Welcome to the show today. I thank you so much for being with me here on a bright Thursday. I hope all of you are well. Let's get to it. I got a lot to cover today, so let's get going. Big thank you for all of your responses yesterday. I have not had a chance to answer all the stuff I've been sent and all the comments and everything. I'll get to it as quickly as I can, but I am just swamped right now. But be patient. I will do my best to get to all of you. Thank you so much. I want to start today with this. There is a man in the United States by the name of Douglas Macky. Douglas Macky has a name that he uses on social media, or did use. I don't suppose he's there any longer. But he was known on X, which at the time was Twitter, as Ricky Vaughn. If you've ever seen the comedy Major League, Ricky Vaughn was a character in that movie. So Douglas Macky assumed the identity of Ricky Vaughn and began to interact on and post on Twitter, or X now. And Douglas Macky / Ricky Vaughn was a pro-Trump meme maker. Now, who doesn't love a good meme? I love memes. I've posted a lot of memes myself. Memes are great. And Douglas was very good at posting memes, which could at times be scathing, particularly with regard to Hillary Rodham Clinton. But Douglas Macky apparently went over the line back in 2016 when he has been accused of trolling the Clinton campaign. So let me tell you what he did. This was back in 2016. Douglas Macky, also known as Ricky Vaughn, pro-Trump meme maker, sentenced to 7 months in prison for trolling Hillary Rodham Clinton during the 2016 election, the election of 2016. Prosecutors are actually seeking 10 years against this man. What a story this is. What did Ricky Vaughn do? This is what he did. Ricky Vaughn tweeted an image of a black woman in front of a sign which said, African Americans for President Hillary. He tweets an image of a black woman in front of an African Americans for President Hillary sign. Emblazoned on the picture was a message that said this, get this now, quote, avoid the line, vote from home, text Hillary to 59925. Vote for Hillary and be a part of history. According to the complaint leveled against him, more than 4,900 people cast their vote for Hillary via text message. And for doing this, Douglas Macky is going to jail for 7 months. I don't know how you feel about that, but I'll tell you how I feel about it. If you are dumb enough to believe that you can vote in a federal election via text message, then you probably got no business being part of the voting process in the first place. If you nullify your vote by falling for a joke or a prank like this, then as far as I'm concerned, it's on you. If you are too dumb to know how to properly vote, then you got no business voting anyway. If I saw a meme and I was going to cast a vote and I was going to vote, let's just say Trump, I was going to vote for Donald Trump, and somebody put up a meme on social media, and it said, "Avoid the lines, cast your vote for Trump via text message." I think I've got just enough of an IQ to realize it's a meme, it's a joke, it's a prank, it's cute, it's clever, it's funny, but that ain't how you vote. Furthermore, BuzzFeed News says that they sent this text message, BuzzFeed News, sent a text message to the number that was displayed in the meme, and the number literally connected them with Clinton's campaign, which actually responded to the message and redirected anybody who was dumb enough to do this to the proper channels. In other words, if you were dumb enough to actually believe you could vote by sending a text message to this random number, and you did that, then the Clinton campaign would respond to you from this number and say, no, this is not how you do it. Here's how you go and vote. So this was just a joke, okay? It was just an obvious prank that this guy was pulling on social media that apparently 4,900 people fell for. I want to say I can't believe it, but in this day and age in the United States, I absolutely can believe it. You know, the late Rush Limbaugh used to talk about the low information voter. This is a classic example of it. Somebody sees a meme on Twitter, X, and it says, if you want to vote for Hillary, text this message and avoid the long lines. And that's what they did, 4,900 of these precious souls, thinking that's how you could actually vote. Now, this leads me into a larger topic, which is what my banner headline on this video today, in which I simply say this, and I've been thinking about this for a long, long time, and it is this. It is, ladies and gentlemen, in my humble and esteemed opinion, it is far too easy to vote in the United States of America. Now, that line of thinking goes completely against the grain that we typically hear, because the leaders and voices in the Democratic Party are always decrying the fact that, you know, the Republicans are guilty of voter suppression, and we're actually trying to keep people from voting, which is an absolute, utter, contemptible lie. Nobody is trying to keep anybody from voting, but people fall for this hook, line, and sinker, and it's echoed by imbeciles like Joe Biden and leaders in the Democratic Party who will accuse Republicans of trying to suppress votes, which is utterly absurd. Nobody is trying to suppress anybody. Well, you know what? Maybe it ain't absurd, because I would like to suppress a few people from voting, and I'll tell you why here in just a minute. But they use this to inflame people that aren't paying attention, and this is the Democrats' base, folks. These are people who don't know what's going on. They don't read any news. They don't pay attention. They are emotionally driven. They are puppets and stooges for the Democratic Party. And boy, talk about your dog whistles. You know, Trump used to be accused, or gets accused of using a dog whistle for his followers. That dog won't hunt. That dog whistle will not blow. That dog will not hunt. But I'll guarantee you the Democratic leadership uses things like this as their dog whistles, and it works. They tell their devoted followers who do not pay attention that, hey, let me tell you something. The Republicans are trying to suppress us from voting. You better get out there and vote. It's all such nonsense. But the point I want to make about this is it is far too easy to vote in American federal elections. And in the last election in 2020, we had early voting. We had drop boxes that were tampered with. There's no question about this. It was so easy to cast a vote. And of course, the Democrats were howling about the fact that we would require people to show an ID before they cast a vote. like that's some kind of that's a problem for somebody. I maintain it's far too easy to vote. You know, it should take some effort, as far as I'm concerned, to cast a vote. It should be something you have to interrupt your routine for, to go and cast a vote, because it's important. It should take some effort. I've got a couple of ideas for what I believe should be requirements to cast a vote in the United States. And here they are. Number one, everybody votes on the same day. There's no mail-in votes. An absentee vote, maybe we can give a pass to. If you're perhaps in the hospital or something and you physically can't make it to the poll. Or if you're out of the state or out of the country and you're just unable for a legitimate reason to get to the polls, so you can do an absentee ballot. That we've historically had those for legitimate reasons. In the last election, it was just absurd how many ways you could vote, and these things were tampered with. They were tinkered with. There's no doubt about that. We have evidence of that. Here's another requirement. You must be a citizen of the United States, and you must have an ID, a federally issued or state issued ID, before you cast a vote, and you must present the ID before you are allowed in the voting booth. The voting day is this particular day. You've got to be there on that day unless you have one of the aforementioned legitimate reasons or excuses to not. Hello, Kiki. How are you? Hold on a speak. Oh, I tried to grab her to get her on camera and she ran. You have to show an ID in order to vote, and you must vote on voting day. By the way, I believe voting day should be April 15th. Does that day ring a bell with anybody? That's the day you got to have all your taxes in. Wouldn't it be cool if voting day, federal election voting day, was the same day as tax filing day? That might change a few things. Now, I've got some other ideas about voting that, if I'm just being a little silly here. How about this? If you don't pay taxes, you don't get a vote. It's fine with me, but hey. Or how about this, if you don't want to do that? How about if you paid taxes, you get an extra vote? Or maybe half of a vote. I mean, it kind of sticks in my craw, I got to be honest with you, that there are people in America who are able-bodied, could work, but don't work, and instead they're on the government dole, and they're using their EBT cards every month to fill up their buggies with steaks and shrimp and whatever else they can find in a grocery store, while a lot of other Americans, myself included, get up at 2:30 in the morning and go slog in the salt mines, if you will, every day to bring home a paycheck and pay our taxes and obey the laws. But we don't get any other special privileges when you compare us with those who do nothing in terms of contributing to the government in terms of taxation. They'll take, but they don't give. You got two types of people, right? You got givers and you got takers. And the givers, that's all they do is give. Well, what do we get for that? If you own stock in a corporation, when they have their annual shareholder meeting, you get a vote, right? If you own stock, you get a vote. And depending on how much stock you have, you may get more than one vote. If you don't own stock, let's say in Coca-Cola, you don't own one share of Coca-Cola, you don't get to go to the annual shareholder meeting and cast a vote. Why? Because you don't own any shares. You got no skin in the game, so you don't get a say in how the company is run. Why should it be any different in America? Why should it be that people who don't have any skin in the game, as it were, get the same clout as those who give and give and give and pay their taxes and obey the laws? Does that seem fair to anybody? I'm sorry I used the F word. Forgive me. All right, let's move on. Just a couple of short notes here. Joe Biden, the occupant of the White House, has found his way over to Israel. Of course, we knew he'd go there sooner or later. So he takes the short stairs out of Air Force One and goes to his meeting with Bibi Netanyahu. I don't know if you've seen this or not. So he's sitting there, I guess, in Netanyahu's office or somewhere, for a photo op, and he's going to give his statement on how he feels about the war that's going on between Israel and the Palestinians, or Hamas if you prefer. Biden is sitting there with Netanyahu, and he's giving a statement in front of the cameras, and he's reading his statement like this. He's reading his statement. He can't go off the cuff. He's reading something somebody prepared for him while he's sitting on a chair with Netanyahu beside him, reading from his note cards. This is the President of the United States, or so we're told. This man is an utter and complete embarrassment to this country. You know, the old New Orleans Saints, they used to be a really bad professional football team in the NFL, and they used to have, their fans used to go to the stadiums and they would put sacks on their heads because they didn't want their faces to be seen at the stadium. They didn't want to be identified as Saints fans because their team was so bad. They used to call them ain'ts. That's how a lot of Americans feel right now. Anytime this man goes on the world stage, as he does very often, and he does things like this, he reads from note cards, we just want to put a sack over our head. Hey, aren't you an American? No, I don't know this man. I don't know what you're talking about. What an embarrassment. What an absolute national disgrace we have in the Oval Office right now. Let me move on. Yesterday, I reported that there had been a bombing of a hospital in Gaza. And that is true. There was a bombing in the hospital. The early reports that I had read were where the bombs actually came from Israel. Well, you know, when you hear things like that, you might be tempted to go and repeat what you've heard, but that's not the prudent or wise thing to do. I never want to come on this camera and sit before this microphone and tell you something that simply isn't true. It's better to hold off until all the facts have come in, which is what I did yesterday, and I'm glad I did, because we have found out subsequently, as far as we know, the hospital was bombed. The source of the bombing was indeed Hamas. However, you know, it's good to just sit. You might have a bombshell, no pun intended, but it's good to just sit until you've got all the facts, and then and only then should you report. But that wisdom was not shared yesterday by two of the members of Congress, two people who should not be in Congress. They got no business being in Congress. But I'm talking about Rashida Talib, a Muslim from Michigan, and good old Ilhan Omar, a Muslim representative from Minnesota. Isn't she the one who married her brother? Tell me down below. I think she's the one. Comment down below. I think she's the one who married her brother to get into the States. Isn't that right? And now here she is, a member of Congress. And these two fun gals tweeted yesterday, or X'd yesterday. Man, Elon, I wish you had not changed the name of that thing. They both on social media on X yesterday immediately blamed Israel for the bombing of the Gazan hospital. They wasted no time. They didn't care about facts. But what else is new with these people? They went ahead and just repuked the line that Israel had bombed the hospital. Did they take their post down? I hadn't heard that they did. I've seen the post, but there you go. That's what they did. Now, what these two specimens did, Rashida Talib and Ilhan Omar, neither of whom should be in Congress but are in Congress, this is what is noteworthy about these two gals. It's outrageous that they are in Congress in the first place. However, what has to be remembered is this. They are of their district, okay? They are of their people. They are of the people that voted for them. Somebody like Anti-Maxine Waters has no business being in Congress. Sheila Jackson Lee has no business being in Congress. Eric Fang Swalwell has no business being in Congress. And on and on and on and on it goes. But these people are of their district. In other words, there are people who put them into Congress by voting for them. So they are a symptom of a larger problem. You know what I'm saying? They shouldn't be in Congress, but neither should we have Americans who vote for evil people like this in the first place. All right, why am I on time? Oh, man, there's something else I wanted to cover. Maybe I'll just real quick. I want to reference an excellent article that I read. I'm not going to read the thing to you, but I just want to peruse it very quickly. The title of the article is called Postcards from a Police State. This appeared in the Rutherford Institute, and I highly commend it to you. This was written by John and Nisha Whitehead. I believe John Whitehead has passed away. But the title of the article is Postcards from a Police State, 22 Years of Blowback from the USA Patriot Act. It's been 22 years since, of course, 9/11. And subsequently, it's been about 22 years, of course, since the U.S. Congress passed the very ill-advised Patriot Act. And John Whitehead is looking back in this article at everything that's happened since then, and he's talking about lessons we've learned from the Patriot Act. Lesson number one: mammoth legislation that expands the government's powers of at the citizenry expense will not make anyone safer. And he goes on and expands on each of these points. Another point is preemptive strikes will only lead to further blowback. That is exactly right, as we have seen. Number 3, war is costly. Yes, it is. Number 4, the tactics and weapons of war, once deployed abroad, listen carefully, will eventually be used against the citizenry at home. Have we seen that? Indeed we have. Allowing the government to spy on the citizenry will not reduce acts of terrorism, but it will result instead in a watched, submissive surveillance society. True. Edward Snowden proved that, did he not? We now have a government which spies on us. You do know that, right? You can thank the Patriot Act, which I supported at the time, and I was wrong to. But we never should have passed it because it was a Pandora's box. We opened a can of really bad, evil worms. If you stop holding the government accountable to the rule of law, the only laws it abides by will be the ones used to clamp down on the citizenry. We're losing our freedoms, folks, every day. Do not turn your country into a battlefield, your citizens into enemy combatants, and your law enforcement officers into extensions of the military. Does it bother anyone else that we see more and more American local police departments who are armed as if they are military combatant units and they drive these armored vehicles? Does that not bother anybody? I think we could stand a little more Barney Fife, if you know what I'm saying. Now, I grant you, in some of our major cities like Chicago and Philadelphia, it may take special equipment. I grant you that. On the other hand, we're not doing what needs to be done, starting at the border. Some of these problems could be solved if we would simply stop letting these criminals across our border, and if we would stop playing footsie with thugs in hoodies in these cities. As long, he continues, as you remain fearful and distrustful of each other, you will be incapable of standing united against any threats posed by a power-hungry government. And this last point, once you trade your freedom for security, the terrorists win. Amen, brother. Was it Franklin that said, if you trade your freedom for security, you deserve neither? And that is what John Whitehead is saying in this article. And I want to close with this quote. Listen very carefully, if you will. Listen at this quote. Voice or no voice, the people can always be brought to the bidding of the leaders. All you have to do is tell them they are being attacked and denounce the pacifist for a lack of patriotism and exposing the country to danger. It works the same way in any country. Do you know who said that? Was it General MacArthur? No. Was it General Patton? No. Was it Ben Franklin? No. Was it George Washington? No. The man who said that was a man by the name of Hermann Goering, a German military commander, and this man's designated successor. Let me read it one more time, please. Voice or no voice, the people can always be brought to the bidding of the leaders. All you have to do is tell them they are being attacked and denounce the pacifists for lack of patriotism and exposing the country to danger. It works the same way in any country. Was that not the case in the United States following 9/11? You better believe it was, and it is still the case today. And Republicans and Democrats will bang the drums of war to scare people and to increase the surveillance state on those who had nothing to do with mayhem whatsoever. Hey, give me your comments down below, everybody. I would really appreciate that. I'd love to know what you think about today's video. If you will be so kind as to give me the big thumbs up on this video, hit that thumbs up button and like this video down below. If you have not yet subscribed to the Trailer Trash Tim channel, as long as you are not an illegal alien and as long as you do not wear a face mask, you're more than welcome to hit that subscribe button down below and join our growing community. Everybody go out there and have a tremendous Thursday. It is great to have you, and I will see you tomorrow.